So I'm studying for my Stereotyping and Prejudice final exam, and there's one of the biggest things that I feel like I've just had an aha moment, and I feel like I need to record this, as we know that teaching something, information to someone else, even if it's just a camera, drastically improves memory and learning. So I'll just go ahead and give this a shot. So Brookman and Kala, I don't know how you, Brookman and Kala, in 2016 they did a study on transgender transphobia, and how easily these perceptions can be changed. And basically, to keep it short, they essentially went door to door, did 500 participants, and they found that even a short 10-minute information session with just a little bit of exposure to either transgender issues or a transgender person themselves. If the person that was going door to door could have been transgender, they also could have been cisgender, but basically they found that even this small exposure to these issues that they are facing can have a drastic long-term impact, like over 3 months impact, on their perceptions of transgender people, and have actually a positive influence on their ability to have empathy for them, or to view them as more favorable, instead of having a prejudiced view of them. And kind of comparing that to Walton and Cohen's 2011 study, talking about social belonging and increasing social belonging. They did a similar, not a similar study, but kind of, they did a study based on essentially disassociating the feeling of belongingness as from academic performance. And they did this to college freshmen at the beginning of their time at college. And essentially what they did was they gave them the opportunity to express how the hardships of college are not related to the feelings of belonging. And so how they did this was they essentially had them record a video explaining to them that things will kind of work their way out, and this kind of reinforced themselves in a positive way, and allowed them to disassociate their feeling of belongingness, essentially having a network of people around them, to their performance, their academic performance, or their, anything. Their feeling of, essentially it allowed them to disassociate the nervousness and that, beginning of college with themselves and their feeling of belongingness, and how they can be, involved and welcomed. And their results were actually particularly powerful in minority students and Black students. And they found that this improved essentially every single aspect of their life. It improved their academic performance, it improved their mental health, it improved their physical health. They found that people who had this intervention actually visited the doctor less in their time in that first year of school than people who didn't. So physical and mental health was also increased, feeling of belongingness increased. And I think that kind of something to take away from this was a short intervention. This was, relatively short as far as duration for both of these two kind of unrelated groups, or unrelated studies. And it kind of just shows that, one thing that you can take away from all this is that even a short intervention that you can have with an individual, because all of these were with individual people, one at a time, one-on-one interactions. And even these short interactions you can have with individual people can make an incredible impact on them, whether it's their views of themselves and their ability to succeed, or whether it's their views of others and their ability to accept and spread kind of more kindness rather than, hate that might not necessarily stem from experience, but actually lack of experience. So, one thing to take away from all this in my mind is just even these small interactions that we might be able to have with people one-on-one can compound if they can spread that information as well along, and it can kind of push everything in a less stereotyping and prejudiced manner. I just named the name of the class, but you can actually help the prejudice in the world if you kind of just like push an idea that, you know, help people understand certain things one by one, a little bit at a time, to those who are willing to listen, because it's not going to be everybody, but, you know, one at a time, you can really compound, especially if you tell one person, that person tells one person, before you know it, everybody has the ability to, you know, spread a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more every time. So yeah, that's a connection I've made, and hopefully that'll help me tomorrow.